One of the most common things that I hear from my clients and from women that I know are looking to create content is that they don't want to come off as cringe. They also don't want to come off as conceited. And when I hear this, I don't feel sad. I'm like, oh, that's actually a really good thing. And it's because this fear is actually a sign of integrity. Welcome to the Chingona Revolution podcast, where we will bring out your inner badass Latina, overcome self-doubt, help you gain clarity, and pave your own path, all while leading with courage. I am your host, Latina coach and speaker, Erika Cruz. Hello, friends. Welcome back to this week's episode of Chingona Revolution podcast. First, before we dive into today's topic, I just want to say that if you are having a difficult time with what's been going on in the news, I'm recording this on January 29th, and over the last week or so, actually more than a week, there have been many attacks on our community as well as allies of the community, and ICE is seeming to double down on their raids, and they're still abducting people from the street, stopping people without cause, and it is very, very frustrating. There have been many times this week in which I have not felt like showing up. I don't even want to open social media because my feed is completely full of news about ICE and the things that they're doing and videos that have been captured. So I just want to say to you that if you have been feeling really heavy and angry, your anger and your heaviness makes sense and it's so valid and there's nothing wrong with you. And I really hope that you're doing everything that you can to take care of yourself. And if that means getting off of social media, getting off of the news, do what you need to do to take care of yourself. But if you feel like, damn, I have a lot of feelings right now, congratulations. It means that you are a human that has a lot of integrity and cares about others. And especially if you are in a place of privilege, that means that you are being considerate of other people who may not have that same privilege as you. And unfortunately, that's not everybody in the world right now. And I don't mean to focus on others. I more want to focus on our community and how it is that we can be here to support one another. I think it was like 2 days ago, I saw a funny video of a dog and I was cracking up and I was like, damn, I really needed that. And I think in times of when we're feeling anger and when we're feeling stressed, we almost don't allow ourselves to feel joy. And what I want you to know is that take the time that you need, feel the feelings that you feel, but also allow yourself to experience joy. Allow yourself to hug your family, allow yourself to play with your child or your niece or your nephew or your cat or your dog, and allow yourself to feel that joy, because what this administration wants is to make us feel afraid and to have us shut down and just give up and feel defeated. And one of the best ways that we get to fight back is through being joyful, through being influential, through being the most successful version of ourselves, through being the best neighbor that we can be to one another. So I just wanted to say that because my heart has felt really heavy. It's been hard for me to create lately, but I'm also reminded that through things like social media and through creation, we get to connect with one another and support one another. And I'm seeing so many of my clients have come together. One client was hosting a Zoom call to guide people through how to call their senators, and everybody just called their senators about the bill that was looking to be passed as of tomorrow. By the time this episode airs, it will have been the previous week, but the calls seem to be working. And this is such a beautiful thing, right? Where our voices are being heard, and there is power in community, and there is power in movement, and that is the power of social media. So while it can be something that we might need to take breaks from sometimes, it's still really, really powerful. And chances are it's how you and I got connected. And today's episode is all about how to get over the fear of not wanting to come off as conceited or cringe. And how if you have that fear that you don't want to come off as conceited or cringe, that's actually a really, really good thing. And that means that you're not trying to build an ego brand, or you're not trying to do something just because you're like full of yourself. It means that you are being invited to service-led visibility. It means that you want to show up in a way that is going to be impactful and give back. And that's exactly what we have seen this week with all of the posts that have supported people in calling their senators so that ICE does not get another penny, so that our tax dollars do not go to ICE funding when we did not approve of this. And one of the most common things that I hear from my clients and from women that I know are looking to create content is that they don't want to come off as cringe. They also don't want to come off as conceited. And when I hear this, I don't feel sad. I'm like, oh, that's actually a really good thing. And it's because this fear is actually a sign of integrity. It means you're not just looking to go be full of yourself. It means that you want to show up in a way that is looking to serve. And this fear makes sense from a cultural perspective, especially if you grow up hearing, ¿Qué va a decir la gente? ¿Qué van a pensar? What are they going to think? What are they going to say about us or about our family or about you? So we've constantly been conditioned to be this humble version of ourselves. And now if you have this desire to post on social media and build your personal brand, which is something I've been talking about recently, especially because I've been doing these personal brand intensives that have been so fun and so impactful. But personally, I've just seen how building my personal brand transformed my life. It was the birth of my business, the door that opened so many other doors, so many other opportunities, like being on the front page of the New York Times, interviewing Luis Fonsi. None of that would have happened if I would have never shown up on social media. But I had that exact same fear as I'm describing right now, which is I don't want to be full of myself. I don't want to self-promote. I don't want to just talk about me. And I just felt so icky doing that. So I don't want you to think, oh, I was just naturally born doing this. This is not the case. I had all the fears, and I've shared on the podcast before that it took me 2 years just to get started with a food blog. Mind you, that's a food blog. That wasn't even my face in it. It was literally just the food that I was creating, and I was already pretty much baking and cooking every single night. All I needed to do was start to document it, and it still took me 2 years. So I get it. I totally get it. But now at this point, I've learned what works, what doesn't work. I've created frameworks, and that's what I hope to help you with today in this podcast episode. My goal is to support you with going from, I don't want to be conceited and cringe, to understanding that when you get to create content, you don't have to be conceited or cringe. All you have to do is be in service. For many Latinas, visibility historically equaled risk, punishment, or judgment. And a lot of times this trauma maybe didn't even come from us, but if you just think about maybe your mom's life or your grandmother's life, and now research shows us that trauma can be passed down through 3 generations. So let's say that your grandmother said something where she was outspoken or maybe just expressed her opinion. And maybe she experienced direct punishment from that, maybe either through a spouse or through her father, or maybe, I mean, my mom told me when she was in school, they would still get hit by the teacher. So maybe there was like actual punishment for speaking out. And just culturally, there has been this whole thing of being humble and being quiet and being agreeable is what is safe and what is expected of us women, especially if you come from a Latino background. So whenever you are posting content, what's happening is that your body's not necessarily thinking this is cringe. It's thinking this is unsafe because it is unfamiliar to you. And the way that we overcome this fear of showing up and letting ourselves be seen is when we realize that the reason that we want to show up and the reason that we want to post content is not because we are being conceited. It is because we have something that we want to share with others that is worth sharing. Amiga, I hope you're enjoying the show. We are going to get right back to today's episode, but I just had to drop in and check with you. How are you feeling? How are things going? If you find yourself frustrated or maybe shaming yourself because you have not taken the action that you wanted to take. Maybe you are just tired of starting and stopping or overthinking or worrying about what your coworkers are going to think about you or your family members are going to think about you if you finally start that project that you've been wanting to start. I just want you to know that I see you. I feel you. I overthought starting my Instagram page for 2 years before I actually started it. So I get it. I totally understand. And if you find yourself in this position where you know that you want to make 2024 your year and you're ready to stop procrastinating and start taking action, then I invite you to Courage Driven Latina. Courage Driven Latina is my signature program where you will legit change your life in 90 days because we are going to help you take action on a courage project in 90 days. I also recently introduced the Courage Project Paths, which I'm so excited about. So you essentially get to pick the path that you want to work on, and you can work on more than one path because the program is now 12 months, right? But we recommend one path at a time. And I'm so excited about these paths because we have a confidence courage project path. So if you want to speak up in your relationships or maybe speak up at work, this would be the perfect path for you. Or if you just want to establish more self-trust. The second path we have is the content creation courage project path. So this is perfect for you if you want to create an Instagram page, a TikTok account, or perhaps you are ready to launch your own podcast. We even have a whole podcast course inside of Courage Driven Latina. The third path is the career courage project path. So if you know that you want to be at the director level or the VP level, or maybe you're ready to change your job to a different job, then this would be the perfect path for you. Maybe you're like, you know what, entrepreneurship is cool, but it's not really for me. I really want to be a boss ass mommy. Then this is going to be the path for you. And last but not least, we have the Chingona CEO path. So if you know that you want to be an entrepreneur and you know you want to start your business, whether it's a coaching business or a physical business, if you want to sell a product, then this is the perfect path for you. Again, because this program is now 12 months, you can work on more than one path. Join the waitlist for Courage Driven Latina by going to the link down below in the show notes, because when you join the waitlist, you are going to be the first to know when we open doors, and you may even get some early access. So ensure that you join the waitlist. I cannot wait to work with you. We have some incredible women in this program, and the fact that it's now a year long, we've already seen so much transformation. I can't wait to work with you. Let's get back to the show, and don't forget to join the waitlist. And let me describe the difference between an ego brand energy versus service-led brand energy. So an ego brand energy looks something like this. The questions you'd be asking yourself are, how do I get more likes? How do I go viral? What will make people impressed by me? As well as focusing very much on metrics. And, oh man, I posted this one thing. Did somebody book a call? Oh, now I did this reel. Did it get more likes than that other person? Almost comparing yourself, and really what I call attached action inside of my program. Everybody in my program knows this, but that's almost like the energy of how can I take something from others? And that energy does not feel good. And that's not where I think you want to be. My strategy around creating a brand is a service-led personal brand. And the way that you identify that is by asking yourself the question, what does somebody need to hear today? Or what would have helped me 5 years ago? Or how can I give without needing anything in return? And that's what we call detached action in my program. Because when your content is rooted in service and in giving, it stops being about you. It stops being about, oh my gosh, do I look okay on camera? Does this sound good? And it really starts to be more about what you're contributing and what you're giving to others. And if you're listening to this podcast, then I know for a fact you have a desire of giving back. Maybe you're working this job that looks very successful, and from the outside looking in, you kind of have it all, but maybe inside you feel like something is missing. And usually when that is happening, it's because what you are missing is you are missing meaning and service. And a lot of times that gap can be filled through creating content, through sharing your life's journey, through sharing the things that you have learned along the way, through building that bridge, that knowledge bridge, right? So maybe you were the first in your family to do all these different things. Why not go and share how you did that with others? Why does it have to stop at your family? I think about one of my clients who creates content around Alzheimer's and educational content that supports other caregivers. And had she not started showing up on social media, sharing her and her father's journey, she wouldn't be impacting the thousands of people that now follow her. And now she's been invited on the news, not once, but twice, to talk about Alzheimer's. And she's a woman of color, she's Latina, so she gets to talk to our community, where typically our community feels a lot of shame around diagnoses and they don't really openly talk about it. But yet you have my client who's making so many people feel seen and heard. And that wasn't from the perspective of, oh, I want to take from these people. No, it was, how can I help others? And we just had a call about a couple of days ago, and I asked her why she started to create content. And she says, well, when I found out about my dad's diagnosis, I felt so alone and I felt so lost, and I didn't want other people to feel that way as well. And that is the perfect description of having a service-led personal brand, a personal brand that supports others' advancement. So let me give you an exercise that you can use immediately as you think about creating a piece of content. Before you post, I want you to ask yourself, who am I serving with this? What would feel generous to share today? And can I release the outcome and just give? In other words, don't worry about, oh, this better get 1,000 likes, 100 likes, 2 shares. Can you just create it for the sake of giving? When you create with the intention of giving, you're never cringe. You're actually in integrity and in service. I hope this episode is resonating with you. And if I can just share part of my journey, when I got started on TikTok and I started creating content, it was all, I didn't even realize I was doing this. I didn't have a name for this at the time, but I was doing the service-led personal brand. I was creating content for the sake of educating others, for the sake of helping. TikTok ended up launching this program called Learn on TikTok. And then I joined the program. So I was like, okay, now I have to create up to 40 videos while I'm in this program. So it really got me into the momentum of educating and teaching and helping. I did things like books that changed my life, and the videos did really well. And it's because I came from this energy of how can I give? And then as time went on and my coaching business grew and I went into some coaching programs, and some of the techniques that I learned were about selling pretty directly in my content. And I want to say like 2024 and part of 2025, I really started focusing on sales content, which then took me out of this service-led content creation and personal branding. And it took me to that energy of like, oh, I'm trying to get sales. And I noticed a huge difference and a huge dip in my sales. And even just like in my energy and in my content, my accounts stopped growing. And obviously the people who listen to this podcast, thank you so much for coming back every week. But it wasn't like I was growing my TikTok account, growing my Instagram account. And that was the big thing. So I've been on both sides of this. I've been on the side where I started off really leading with service, and then I went to the side of expecting results and really focusing on metrics. And that's when things fell flat. And I'm not telling you not to have goals and that you shouldn't try to grow, but the intention should always be looking to give rather than to take. Because if all you're doing is trying to take, then you're going to post a video, and when you don't get what you want, you're going to feel defeated, and then you're going to feel unmotivated, and you are going to stop posting. Versus when you are leading with service, you are so much more resilient. It feels so good to create the content. And I have had to go through, it's almost like a pendulum. I was on one side and then I went to the other extreme. And now I feel like I'm coming back to the service side and finding my middle ground here. So as somebody that has gone through both sides of this personal branding style, I can tell you that the way to go is the service-led one. You will feel a lot more in alignment. You will feel in service. You will feel impactful. You will feel like you are fulfilling your purpose, and you will gain so many opportunities that you didn't even know or a possibility. So if this podcast episode resonates with you and you would like my support with building your personal brand, first, I recommend that you do my completely free resource. It is the Manifest Your Marca Bot. It's a personal branding experience to help you identify your personal brand. And if you've already done that and you're like, okay, Erika, I'm ready. 2026 is the year that I'm going to build my service-based personal brand, then I invite you to join me with my personal branding intensives. I only have 2 spots left, and I've got to tell you, I had 2 of them yesterday and I had 2 of them today. Every intensive was a little different and everyone was freaking incredible. I did one with a former client who was already inside of Courage Driven Latina, and we mapped out her content for the entire year. And I cannot wait for you all to see her content. It is so, so good. Another client who just joined Courage Driven Latina and ended up adding on the personal branding intensive, she created her first ever Instagram post today. We also created a few post ideas for her in the future and created a system that was really easy for her. And then I've got another client that I met with, and her particular type of content is actually like writing and blogging. So what we did is we came up with blog articles that she can write and blog posts, as well as using threads. And it's just such a fun experience because it's one of those meetings that we roll up our sleeves and get the work done. You don't leave just with ideas. You leave with tangible steps, what to do within the next 24 hours, what to do within the next week, as well as within the next month. So if you are interested in this, I only have 2 more spots and then I will stop selling this because I'm going to be transitioning to something else. So if you wanted to work with me and you want to work with me one-on-one, this is the opportunity that you want to take advantage of. Okay, y'all, I hope this podcast episode resonated with you. If so, send me a DM on Instagram. I love to hear whenever podcast episodes resonate with you. You can find me at the Erika Cruz. That's Erika with a K, as well as the Chingona Revolution Instagram page. All right, I'll see you all next week. Bye. Thank you so much for joining me this week. Make sure to visit theerikacruz.com. That's Erika with a K, where you can subscribe to the show so you'll never miss an episode. You can help this podcast grow by supporting me with an Apple Podcast rate and review. If you took anything away from this episode, I invite you to take a screenshot and share it on social media so that your favorite badass Latinas can also check it out. Be sure to tag me at the Erika Cruz. That's Erika with a K, because you know I want to see it. If you're ready to join the revolution and be a part of the Courage Driven Latina community, visit couragedrivenlatina.com to get more information and join the waitlist. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week.